One of my strongest sellers lost my trust in a moment that had nothing to do with closing. He ignored a customer escalation for 2 days. And when I asked him why, he gave me 5 words. I don't get paid for that. And the uncomfortable part, there was no commission attached. He was right about that. But that was exactly the problem, because commission told me he could close. That escalation told me whether he could own. This is Carsten Uncut. And today I want to talk about the difference between a closer and an owner. Because in enterprise sales, both can hit a number, but only one earns trust at scale. This is also where typically people turn the discussion into a compensation debate. Base salary, commission, incentives, boundaries, and yes, all of that matters. But the real issue is much deeper. Your commission plan tells you what gets paid. Your customer tells you what needs to be owned. And those are not always the same thing. And when those two collide, leaders learn a lot about you. Commission rewards the close. Ownership protects the relationship after the close, around the close, and sometimes long before the next deal exists. That is the work that does not always show up as a clean line item. The difficult follow-up, the angry customer, the messy internal handoff, the escalation sitting between teams where everybody can say, "Not mine." That is where the account trust is either protected or lost. So let me go back to the seller. The account was a mid-sized logistic customer. Good revenue, not huge, but the kind of relationship that quietly grows for years if you do not break it. A shipment dispute had blown up on their side, wrong terms on an invoice, a delivery promise that got missed, and a procurement lead who was already losing patience. It was not a closing problem. There was no deal to sign that week. It was a trust problem, and it landed on my seller's inbox on a Tuesday. He read it. He decided it was just not worth his time. No commission attached. So in his head, not his job. For 2 days, nothing. No call, no, "I'm going to look into it," not even a holding reply. Meanwhile, on the customer side, the silence was getting louder. The procurement lead forwarded the threat to her boss forwarded it to ours. By the time it reached me, it was not a shipment dispute anymore. It was, can we even rely on these people? And that is the moment every leader should pay attention to. Because the customer did not care who technically owned the ticket. The customer cared who took responsibility. I had to clean it up, personally. Different city, 2 days late, with a customer who felt ignored. We kept the account, but barely. And yes, his pay that month arrived exactly the same. Same base, same commission plan, same number to the cent. So if you only look at the payslip, nothing happened. But something very important did happen. Trust moved. A year later, a much bigger account opened up, strategic, visible, the kind of account that changes a career. And I did not give it to him. Not as a punishment. I just could not trust him with it because I had already seen what he did when the work was uncomfortable, unclear, and it did not have a commission staple to it. That is the hidden score in a sales career. Everyone sees the number. Leaders also see the ownership around the number. They see what you protect when nobody is applauding. They see what you ignore when no one is paying extra. They see whether you treat the customer relationship as your job only when there's an upside attached. And that is the difference between a closer and an owner. If you sell for a living, this channel is for you. Subscribe and stick around because I want to make one thing very clear. Ownership does not mean letting a company exploit you. There's a fair version of "I don't get paid for that." If a company quietly turns one role into 3, boundaries matter. If you're always carrying the slack while everyone else coasts on the same base, that is not ambition. That is a broken system using your pride as free labor. So protect your time, but genuinely. But there is a difference between protecting your time and hiding from every uncomfortable piece of work that would make you more trusted. One is self-respect, the other is self-sabotage, wearing the costume of principle. The question is not, should sellers do every random task forever? Of course not. The question is, when the customer relationship is at risk, do you step forward to the problem or away from it? Because that is what ownership culturally actually is. Not heroics, not martyrdom, not doing everyone else's job. Ownership is taking responsibility when the account, customer trust, or team outcome is on the line. So, the next time you hear someone say, "I don't get paid for that," listen carefully. Sometimes they're setting a healthy boundary, but sometimes they're telling you exactly where their ownership ends. And if you are the seller saying it, ask yourself the harder question. Is it really not my job? Or is it the work that proves that I can be trusted with more? Because commission proves you can close. Ownership proves you can lead. Drop a comment. Where do you drop the line between not my job and real ownership in sales? And if you want one uncomfortable sales leadership lesson every week, subscribe. No fluff, no BS, just the things people typically say too late. Thank you.